What's going on with that room? Looks unstable somehow.
You approach the sigil on the stone. Magic glitters and swirls from it erratically, as if malfunctioning. It looks slightly dangerous.
A hand? Anyone? Whatever you're doing is working wonders. Now a quick little pull should do the trick. Hello. I'm Gale of Waterdeep. Apologies. I'm usually better at this. At magic. Say, but I know you, don't I? In a manner of speaking. You were on the North Lloyd as well. I don't know what transpired exactly, but the ship broke into pieces and I suddenly found myself in freefall. As I was plummeting to certain death, I spied a glimmer quite near where I estimated my body to impact with less than savory propulsion. Recognizing this glimmer to be magical in nature, I reached out to it with a weaving of words and found myself on the other side, as it were. How about you? How did you survive the fall? Fair enough. But even so, I have the unfortunate suspicion your survival is still very much in jeopardy. Back on the ship, you too were on the receiving end of a rather unwelcome insertion in the ocular region, were you not? No use sugarcoating it, is there? The insertee we speak of, this parasite, are you aware that after a period of excruciating gestation, it will turn us into mind flayers? It's a process known as ceremorphosis, and let me assure you, it is to be avoided. You don't happen to be a cleric by any chance, do you? A doctor? Surgeon? Uncannily adroit with a knitting needle? I suppose few enough can. Not exactly a common affliction. We're most certainly going to need a healer, and soon, too. How about we lend each other a helping hand once more and look for a healer together? Most excellent. A parasite shared is a parasite halved, or something to that effect. Oh, but before you think you're about to embark on a journey with most ill-mannered a man, thank you for pulling me out of that stone. It was an act of foresighted kindness, I assure you. For I have the feeling ample opportunities will present themselves for me to return the favor. You have a familiar twinkle in your touch. You're a wizard, aren't you? Would you consider yourself particularly well-read? The aid of someone learned would be of great use to me. The limited time for reading that undergoing ceremorphosis leaves pains me so. You and I both know the aid a powerful sage could bring us. If you meet any elder wizards, let me know. There is a matter I'd like to seek advice on from a master. What's on your mind? Let's see. I hail from Waterdeep, city of splendors. I am a wizard of considerable acclaim and scholar of exceptional accomplishment. I have a cat, a library, and a weakness for a good glass of wine. And if the mood takes me, I'm known to try my hand at poetry. There. Go to hell. You're a good sport. Go to hell. An everyday expression. So trivial it's almost meaningless. But we've seen hell. It's real. And it isn't trivial. Devils, dragons, mind flayers. They used to be abstracts. Pictures on a piece of paper. What a difference a day makes. Now we have tadpoles slithering through our heads like carnivorous feti. That's not abstract. That's the spirit. Let's be up with the lark. Find a healer before the wee one gets hungry. Believe it or not, but I witnessed a similar standoff back at the yawning portal. Of course, an establishment like that invites all sorts of outlandish entertainments. An inn in Waterdeep. Oh, never a dull moment there. Adventurers come from all over Faerun to try their luck down the well. Leads into the Undermountain, you see, full of death, danger, and vast amounts of treasure. Hard to resist. Oh, a drow, a dragonborn, and a cleric of Cyric walk into a bar. Your standard fare. Maybe someone was cheating at cards. Maybe it was some weird lover's quarrel. In any case, out came the crossbow, and a hush fell over the entire room. I stood up and yelled, "Shadow Dark Ale for everyone!" The crowd cheered. The tension drained into 6 tankards, and soon all was well again. In a place like the Yawning Portal, the most powerful magic is calling for a round of drinks. Mind you, all I did was call for ale, but you went and stood in front of that crossbow. I'd drink to that. That scamp reminds me of myself when I was a nipper. Always getting into trouble. And worse. One time, my parents denied me a kitten, so I summoned myself a Tressim. Ugh, dear old Tara. Beautiful creature. Benefits of a wizard's education, you see. Of course, my considerable talent didn't hurt either. Well, that depends on who you ask, I suppose. I may have summoned things rather more exotic than a winged cat. There was that magma mephit once. Nice fellow, we kept in touch. Of course, in walked the housekeeper, screaming, yelling, panic, and before you know it, fire everywhere. Anyway, I'm glad we got that boy out of his predicament. Poor lad would have been harpy feed if it wasn't for you. Tiring business, isn't it? All this traveling and adventuring. Why don't we take a little break, Allow ourselves a few moments of rest? Gives me a chance to talk to you about something, well, rather important. We've been on the road together for a while now, haven't we? Survived some perils, overcame some obstacles. Ever since you were kind enough to free me from that stone, I've seen you demonstrate remarkable guile and courage. The way you diffused the tension between Zevlor and Aradin. The way you stood in front of a crossbow to prevent a murder. In short, I've grown to trust you. The reason I make a point of saying this is that I've grown confident enough to tell you something I've yet to tell another living soul, except for my cat. You see, I have this condition. Very different from the parasite we share, but just as deadly. No, it cannot be cured. And I assure you I've left no page unturned in reaching that conclusion. I can keep this condition under control, as indeed I've done for a significant amount of time, but that was under different circumstances altogether. Home, in Waterdeep. What it comes down to is this. Every so often, I need to get my hands on a powerful magical item and absorb the weave inside. I can say no more on the matter. Not now, anyway. Just trust me when I say it's all of vital importance. It's been days since I last consumed an artifact, since before we were abducted. It's only a matter of time before my craving returns. That is why I turn to you. I need you to help me find magic items to consume. It is vital. Dare I say it? Critical. A fair point. However, until recently, I was able to rely on a supply of artifacts stored in my tower in Waterdeep. A supply that has now run dry. The reality of the matter is that a lone wizard with a chronic impairment such as my own is not in the most ideal of situations with regards to self-defense. The manner of artifacts I need are not often found waiting patiently on a shopkeep's shelf. One usually has to lift them delicately from trap-filled tombs or prize them from the hands of violent ne'er-do-wells. There'll be danger involved, or great cost. Splendid. Bit of boldness will serve us well. I'm sure we won't have to look very far to find what I need. Faerun overflows with magic-infused treasure. As do our packs, as a matter of fact. We've such an item already in our possession. Primed for the moment the need arises. I hope I can count on you. Go ahead. I'm listening. Think of it as tribute. The kind a king might pay to a more powerful neighbor to avoid invasion. As long as I pay, there will be peace. But should I ever stop, along comes a war. I can assure you, the battlefield would extend well beyond the borders of my body alone. You'll have to speak slowly. I'm finding it quite difficult to concentrate with my condition gnawing at my insides like a teething displacer kitten. That is most gratifying to hear. May I? Thank you. That hit the spot. I can feel it work. The magic, it's like a lullaby that sings to sleep the demon inside. A metaphorical demon, I haste to point out, but no less dangerous. And no less bound to wake up again to continue its ravages. Such is the nature of all monsters. Oh, it's not so bad once you get used to it. And, on the plus side, my tower in Waterdeep has never been so free of clutter. Sincerely, though, I understand I ask a lot from you with few answers in return. But in time, all will be told. My lady, I bow to your boundless kindness. What's on your mind? Apart from finding me an artifact to consume, which I assume you're pursuing with the appropriate urgency. That is most gratifying to hear. May I? Thank you. It is a strange experience. Each time anew, like a lost soul is spelunking through the darkness that is me, only to be sacrificed on the dread altar of the heart. Somehow the second artifact hasn't had the effect of the first. It's somewhat relieved the discomfort, but I fear my hunger hasn't quite... The magic isn't having the effect it should have. It's not like the last time, like a rainstorm that quells a forest fire. It merely drizzles. The embers still sizzle, the fire remains undefeated. I'm not certain what's going on, but nothing good. Please, I need to think. I need to retrace my steps to a glade of calm and think. Thank you for the artifact.
A great deal of trouble it was too. A great deal of trouble indeed. Oh. My, you startled me. I, was miles away.
No special reason, really. I was just practicing an incantation.
What can I say? She's Mystra.
I can't quite describe it. The need I sometimes feel to see her. To draw the filaments of fantasy into existence. No sculpture or painting could ever do her justice. Only the fabric that she herself is and embodies.
The weave. Mystra is all magic. As far as I'm concerned, she is all creation. Magic is my life. I've been in touch with the weave for as long as I can remember. There's nothing like it. It's like music, poetry, physical beauty, all rolled into one and given expression through the senses. Is it the same for you? Perhaps we can share the experience by reaching into the weave together. Then follow my lead. Now you.
A familiar feeling, like a kind word and a kind touch at the same time. It's warm and comfortable.
Excellent. Now, repeat after me. Athran mistraril kantrak eo.
Ah, yes. The scent of rosewater and a sense of well-being. A sliver of weave that tastes sweet on the tongue.
Very good. Now, I want you to picture in your mind the concept of harmony, as true as you can.
You see, or is it sense, the unmistakable presence of Mystra, the Lady of Mysteries. There's something like the anticipation of a kiss, then the pleasure of being cloaked in peace. You are safe. You are nestled in the cup of Mystra's hand.
Look at that. We're channeling the weave. How does it feel? You're hard to please, aren't you?
The weave connects you. The moment feels intimate. You realize the weave is making you one. You have but to imagine your desire, and Gale will know it.
I didn't think.
You perceive quick-fire gusts of embarrassment, trepidation, and finally, elation.
Sorry. I wasn't expecting... But it is a pleasant image, to be sure. Most pleasant, in fact. Most welcome.
The weave evaporates, and as it does so, you realize the night feels suddenly cold and lonesome.
Oh. There it goes. How easily things slip away from us, no matter how hard they were in the obtaining. Good night. I enjoyed sharing a moment of magic with you.
Oh, I was surprised, but pleasantly so. Just like I said, amid the madness that has befallen us, it seems almost out of place to think of a kiss. And yet, now more than ever, it's important to recall what makes us human. Well, you know what I mean. A stolen glance, that sudden heartbeat. Sometimes the little things are worth more than kingdoms. They promise things to come. I've had a pupil or two, but never for very long. Their ineptitudes tend to irk me. You do seem to be a precocious talent, though. I can always tell when I meet a keen mind, receptive to Mystra. Keep it up, and she might just take a personal interest in you one of these days. My condition likes being ignored as little as I do. I must consume another artifact. And soon. Thank you.
Good gods. It hardly has any effect. Oh, Mystra, have mercy on us all. Listen, I need to speak to you, to all of you. It would be unconscionable of me to remain silent. I might just be about to remedy that. You have to know who I was. You have to know who I really am. What I am is a walking shadow of the promise I once held. I'm what one might call a wizard prodigy, who from an early age could not only control the weave, but compose it, much like a musician or a poet. Such was my skill that it earned me the attention of the mother of magic herself, the Lady of Mysteries, the goddess Mystra. She revealed herself to me and she became my teacher. In time, she became my muse, and later even my lover. It's fair to say her intimacy is not easily won. Nevertheless, I did. We enjoyed each other's company. Body, mind, and soul. But even so, I desired more. You see, no matter how powerful a wizard we mortals can become, we never scratch more than the surface of the weave. Mystra keeps us in check. There are boundaries she doesn't let us cross, yet every time I was with her, I stood on the precipice, gazing into the wonders that lay beyond. I sought to cross her boundaries. I tried to convince her. I pouted. I pleaded. Swore my ambition was only to serve her better. She only smiled and told me to be contented. But inconceivable as it seems to me now, I shared a bed with a goddess, and yet I wasn't satisfied. So I sought to prove myself worthy to her instead. We come now to the crux of my folly. Shall I share the story behind it, or would you rather head straight to its sordid finale? Very well. Here goes. Once upon a very long time ago, a mighty lord lived in a tower. A flying tower, to be precise. I'll save his history for another time, but the gist of it is that he sought to usurp the goddess of magic so that he could become a god himself. And he almost managed, but not quite. And his entire empire, Netheril, came crashing down around him as he turned to stone. The magic that was unleashed that day was phenomenal. Roiling like the prime chaos that outdates creation. Even the weave itself could not withstand the onslaught. It fractured, then shattered, and all magic was lost to the mortal realms. Until the day Mystra returned. She restored the weave, reuniting all its scattered shards. Or so I thought. Until, in the course of my studies, I learned of a book. A Netherese tome in which a piece of the fractured weave had been sealed beyond her reach. What if, I thought, what if, after all this time, I could return this lost part of herself to the goddess? I don't discredit my reasoning. Alas, that my execution was rather less sound. I was certain that this deed of raw power, draped in romance, would convince Mystra to take me by the hand and welcome me into her hitherto forbidden domains. I was mistaken. I obtained the fabled book and took it into my study. As for what happened next... Here. Place your hand over my heart. Let me show you.
You feel the tadpole quiver as you realize Gale is letting you in, into the dark. You see through Gale's eyes, staring down the corridors of a dread memory. A book, bound, and suddenly opened. Inside there are no pages, only a swirling mass of blackest weave that pounces. Its teeth, its claws, it's unstoppable as it digs through and becomes part of you. And gods, is it ever hungry.
What is it? What do you see?
Thankfully, the moment I absorbed the fragment wasn't enough to kill me outright. It was only the beginning.
This Netherese blight, this orb, for lack of a better word, is balled up inside my chest. And it needs to be fed. As long as I absorb traces of the weave from potent enough sources, it remains quiet. Were it ever to fully destabilize, however. I will erupt. I don't know the exact magnitude of the eruption, but given my studies of Netherese magic, I'd say even a fragment as small as the one I carry, it'd level a city the size of Waterdeep. We might chance upon a king's collection of magical artifacts around the corner. We might cross paths with a miracle round the bend. Then again, we might not. All of this, it must feel like a betrayal. Say the word, and we'll part ways. That is a great relief. Oh, a great relief indeed. You truly are a soul that steals my own. From all my new rallied heart, I thank you. I thank you all. I understand if you stand against me. I'm humbled if you stand with me. Either way, I will do my best not to let you down. I stand at a precipice, but if you do not give up hope, neither shall I. I'll fight. I'll resist as long as I can. Now, even I am tired of the sound of my own voice. Let us venture forth.
Tell me, what can I do for you? The very same. Karsus was perhaps the most powerful wizard that ever lived. The child who would be a god, the elves called him. And he tried. With a spell of his own devising, he endeavored to usurp in one fell swoop The power of the goddess of magic. Mistral, she was called then. Imagine what it must have felt like to be a god. To know yourself, to be untouchable. To be mistaken. As Karsus aimed his spell at her, she began to unravel, and with her, the entire weave. Too late did he realize what he had unleashed. It would have been the end of everything had not Mistral sacrificed herself. The goddess of magic is all magic. By dying, the entire weave was lost, and the spell that challenged a god failed. It was the end of Mistral, the end of Karsus, and the end of an entire civilization. As the child who would be a god was turned to stone, his empire came crashing down around him. The floating cities of Netheril were no more. An event that came to be known as Karsus's folly. Quite so. Now, so many centuries later, I try to follow in the footsteps of Karsus. Not to destroy Mistra, but to prove my love for her. I tried to control only a fraction of the magic that was unleashed that fateful day. I merely sought to return one tiny diamond to an imperfect crown. Gale's folly, one might call it. History, repetition. It's the way things go. If it should ever come to that, if I ever know I am no longer able to stop it, I will do anything I can to ensure no one but me pays for my mistakes. I will find the remotest place on the surface of Faerun, or perhaps far below in the depths of the Underdark. I will await that death, alone. I promise I will not betray your trust. You kept me by your side despite the menace that I am. If worst comes to worst, I will be long gone before the curtain falls. Beautiful night, don't you think? Nothing like a brush with destruction to make one appreciate the majesty of a celestial canvas. It's a view I would once have shared with my companion, though definitely unaccompanied by such revelry. She preferred it when we were alone, curled up before a crackling hearth with some ancient, esoteric tome between us. Ink glinting in the firelight. By a Gehron's lost nose! No! I speak of Tara, my Tressym, assistant, my constant companion through all the ills and tribulations my hubris has thrust upon me. She'd been most impressed by our efforts saving these tieflings. Proud, even. And I've given her little to be proud of recently. After I was afflicted with my condition, and locked myself in my tower for an entire year. I was inconsolable, wallowing in my self-inflicted tragedy. I'd given up on myself, but Tara never did. It was her encouragement, her research that led me to my treatment. Once we knew that magically infused items were the key, she went out to find them for me. She saved my life. After so long being cared for by someone else, it feels good to have repaid the favor. Not directly to Tara, but to these poor tieflings. I'm sure she would approve. You remind me of her somewhat. An expression you both share. When she gives in to her more feline qualities. A mouse trapped beneath her paw. Wish she were here for me to make a formal introduction. But I would never ask her to undertake such a journey. She's safer at home. Besides, she was always telling me I needed to spread my wings, so to speak. Find mortal friends instead of hanging onto Mistra's coattails. So that's what I'm doing. I hope. Very funny. But as we all know, nymphs are sticklers when it comes to their bathing routines. You, my friend, haven't been near a fresh spring in a 10-day or more. Not that I don't appreciate your musk. Actually rather like it. Well, this seems as good a time as any for me to stop babbling on. Were I to recite that list, I fear we'd be here at dusk tomorrow. Many things, I assure you. But a conversation better saved for another time.
With my condition as volatile as it is, I fear any undue excitement may tip it over the edge, so to speak.
Go. Indulge in the frivolities. They're good for the heart. And mine will be all the lighter to see you enjoying yourself. Don't worry about me. I'm quite content to enjoy the party from here. Go. Enjoy yourself.
Who there, wanderer? Stay thy course a moment to indulge an old man.
Elminster?
The very same, Gale. And a fair bit miffed he is, too, finding himself forced to expose his best pair of boots to so many miles of country road on your behalf. Endure an hour's worth of exposition to my presence, and you may well come to consider a different sort of honorific with which to chronicle the occasion. But until then, your sentiment is well received.
Yes, yes, yes. Be that as it may, you said you came all this way on my behalf, did you not? For what purpose?
I was bid to spare neither time nor my own self to find you. She sent me, Gale. You know of whom I speak.
But why? Out with it, Elminster. Please.
Young man, has your sojourn away from Waterdeep washed away your decorum as well as your patience? Nigh a 10-day I've gone without honest fare, worthy of the name. Drank naught but what the sky entitled my thirst. Why, some bread, cheese, and a cup of wine would appear unto me a feast. Surely you won't begrudge me a mite of rest and repast before I get out with it? Alas, such luxuries require the beneficence of time. And time, as I'm sure our friend here will attest, is the very luxury of which we're all too bereft.
Oh, for the love of...
This way then? To your camp. Oh, don't dawdle now, lad. You're the one who's in such a frightful hurry.
Oh, nigh on 13 centuries old and he still thinks with his stomach. We'd best follow and see if he's more disposed to speak plainly once it's stopped its grumbling. A wise choice. Better to indulge your curiosity than Elminster's appetite.
Yes, what a delightful wedge of old Arthurian that was. Doesn't do to parley on an empty stomach, you know. Makes one's words frivolous when they should be grave. Plenty to digest, after all. A good deal to stew over, if you will. Words ladled with import should be savored so as to better absorb their meaning. Wouldn't you agree?
Elminster!
Right. You see, well, that is to say, Gale, my boy, I've come to address a most pressing matter. I'll speak as plainly as I can, forswearing the accustomed frills that decorate my speech. I'm here on behalf of Mystra. The message and the charge I bring you are hers.
Oh, Mistra's delicate feet are ill-suited for the hardships of the road.
You know where you went wrong, Gale. No, we needn't dwell on that here and now. But even so, you're to be given a chance of redemption.
Mistra would consider forgiveness.
She would consider what she considers to be forgiveness. Mystra is aware of the misadventures that have befallen you both. She knows of your strife with the Absolute, that most insidious of evils. They choose the instruments of their will with great precision. Sometimes the single drops we think we are do not realize what waves we are building up to be. Do not discount yourself, and by the same token, do not discount your enemy. You must know that the Absolute is more dangerous than you can possibly conceive. It threatens all who live, even those who are undying. It threatens the gods, the weave, the very fabric of the universe itself. That is why I have come here to charge you, Gale, with its destruction. It is Mystra's belief that only you can.
The orb.
Precisely. Mystra has granted me the power to stop the clock, as it were, on the orb's rush to overpower you. Instead, you will be able to unleash its lethal combustion at will.
Interesting. This could be help or hindrance. We shall have to see.
You must find the heart of the Absolute, whatever that may be, and use yourself as the catalyst that will burn it from this world.
He is not. But it seems that Mystra is.
It brings me no pleasure saying this, my friend. But such is Mystra's will. Yours must be the sacrifice that will undo the Absolute. And for your sacrifice, you will be redeemed. Such is Mystra's promise. With that, I've said my sorry piece, and need only bestow unto thee the charm I was bid. Meine hastra mistraril Italion thras annas dithra. It is done. Both charge and charm have been committed into your care. To you, I commit into care Gale himself. I count on you to shepherd him well on this strangest of journeys.
Or some other fortune altogether.
Like moons make swell and wane the nescient seas, so too the sky-strewn gods ordain the tidal fates of mortal days. And yet, an ocean born in lonely hours, come ebb, come flow, come all that is beyond the breadth of our dominion. Be a moon unto yourself. Even the waves of fate can break upon the shores of will. Farewell, my friend.
Farewell, Elminster. I'm glad she chose you. An audience with Elminster is never less than memorable. I'd have hoped to introduce you to him in less dire circumstances. But those are hard to come by these days. It's not a demand he wanted to make of me. As Mistress chosen, he had no choice but to deliver her message, however much it pained him to do so. For Mystra to have sent him, the severity of her bidding could not be clearer, or weigh more heavily on me. Time seems so infinite when you're young. A month is an age. A year is a lifetime. It is a strange feeling to realize how little of it one might have left. Of course, you offer the clearest solution to our problem. All I have to do is find the right place and time, close my eyes, and let go. Then the slate will be clean. Wrongs will be righted, the absolute will be gone, and I along with it.
I've no doubt she has the power to do so, but as for the permission, Ao would not look kindly on her meddling in mortal affairs. Divine intervention has a tendency to make things worse, not better. As for Elminster, he's saved the realms more times than legend can recount. But to take on a god is no easy feat, even for him. My orb is the best chance we have. And only I can wield it.
If there was, I'm sure the goddess of magic and the greatest wizard who ever lived would have identified it. But alas, only one solution is offered.
That remains ahead of us for now. The heart of the Absolute must be discovered before I can stop its beating. Let's save such certainty for the moment such a decision is upon us. We may feel differently once we know what we're truly up against. Always a delight to speak with you. What can I do? She expects those who seek to use the weave to do so honestly, and with respect for its potential to destroy, as well as its potential to save. I doubt she's asked many of her followers to blow themselves up. That's a fate she's bequeathed exclusively to me. She wouldn't ask such a thing if it weren't our only means of survival. However much she's annoyed at me. Oh, you know me, ever the optimist. I'm trying to focus on the positives. Truth is, I was living on borrowed time already. Consuming those items would only have kept the orb sated for so long. If anything, I feel more at peace than I have in months. At least now I know my death will have purpose. It won't be a distant bang in the footnotes of history.
It's quite thrilling to fight off such grim creatures as this region throws at us, especially being at your side. I once read a book that explained in some detail the effect a brush with danger has on one's desire for other forms of stimulation. Have you ever read anything on that subject? I believe you. You never looked so beautiful as at the end of a stirring battle. Your cheeks flushed, gaze bright, muscles glistening. Perhaps it's just the thrill of our near-undead experience talking. Standing at your side through such darkness and disrepair, it only makes me want you more. Unfortunately, this is neither the time nor the place to indulge such feelings, so we must be patient and push all such thoughts aside. For now.
Good evening. I'm here on behalf of Gale of Waterdeep. He wishes to extend you an invitation for a private conversation in a more suitable locale. Gladly. Simply follow yonder path, and soon you will find him. I love this time of night. There's an almost reverent silence that accompanies the peak of darkness, when you'd almost believe the dawn will never break. The cradle of eternity.
timelessness of lovers. That most beautiful of fantasies.
Indeed. The curse is still present, of course. Just veiled and at arm's length for now. Not a trick I can repeat often, but tonight is different. This may be my last night alive. I wanted it to be under a canopy of beauty and wonder, and with company to match. I thought this place might bring me peace. I thought it might make the weight of what I must do feel a little lighter. But I'm not so sure.
Babe or crone, coward or hero, death is assured. Mystra's forgiveness is not. If you knew the end was near, would you not want to ensure it had meaning? I am terrified. I will not claim otherwise. My face could scarcely conceal it, even if my words sought to deny it. There is no point in running from the inevitable. Better to meet it on my own terms. One moment with you could sate me for a lifetime and prize the fear from my heart. I'm so very glad you came to share this with me. I know this is all unreal, but I created it for you. You must know that you're very special to me. If things were different, if we were home, I'd have taken time to do things properly, to say it all better. But time is short. I'm in love with you. Not if I have any say in the matter. I want it to be perfect. To bond with you in the way the gods do, intertwining our spirits in visions of the weave. How about the perfect night in Waterdeep? Yes? Let's imagine how it would be. The scene is this. You and I stand in the room that is the center of my universe. The sculptures, the paintings, the walls enlivened by the spines of 1,000 books. The grand piano plays the Lyrian suites all by itself, and as we look out beyond the arches that lead to the terrace, we see the weary sun take its daily dive into the sea. My favorite spot. Many times, evening turned to night and back to daybreak once more while I sat here, lost in words. It's called The Art of the Night,
and it details the first 1,000 nights of a newlywed king and queen. They turned everything they did into an art. The art of conversation, the art of taste, time-honored and newly acquired. The art of the body, the exploration and acceptance of the self and the other. The art of the night itself. They say we take a page from their book. Then let's set the book aside and be blank slates on blank sheets. Delightfully new. What do you say? The stars will be our bed. Come here. Why confine ourselves to the pleasures of mortal flesh? There's but one stitch in a vast tapestry. Let me show you more. When you wake, it will be back at our camp. Back in our small, dirty, bloody patch of existence. But stay with me now. There are endless worlds out there. Countless ways to declare love. Infinite ways to express it. Too much for one night. We shall try. I wanted to talk to you about our night together. Have you ever walked to the very edge of a great precipice and shuddered at how easy it would be to step into the void? Ever since Elminster told me of Mistra's expectations of me, I felt like I've been walking along such a cliff face. The great drop to nothingness, never out of my sight. But you led me away from the edge. Without your words, your touch, I fear I would have sought purpose and solace in that void. You reminded me what living can feel like. I had been hoping you'd say that. To be an object of pity. I couldn't live with that.
I hope the end is much farther away than I had suspected. I hope that night meant as much to you as it did to me. And I hope we all have more time together. Together. Alone. I'll see that there is. Woe betide anyone who tries to stop me.
There's nothing that would give me greater pleasure. You must know, our relationship is the brightest spot in our otherwise bleak endeavor. To know you love me for the man I am and not the magic I command. None have loved me so purely before. You are everything to me. And yet our relationship is only a nascent fraction of what it will become. You give me hope. And I've not had that in some time. Grateful, mostly. For meeting you. For having someone who cares that I'm here, alive. And not reduced to a cloud of netherese vapor. Someone apart from my Tressim, that is. I'm many things to many people, but I'm never a man to throw the L word around lightly. I said exactly what I meant. I love you. You should never, never doubt that. Plenty of them, and all complicated. It's not easy to turn away from one you once loved, but now that I see our relationship with all the illumination hindsight has to offer, I mostly feel only regret. I was not the first wizard to fall under her spell, nor will I be the last. I was an amusement to her. Mortal to be trifled with, amused and eventually discarded. I regret the way I hurt her, of course I do. But she would have seen me destroy myself to earn her forgiveness. There's no love lost between us. None at all. What a question. No. You're not the first. Though you are the first since my relationship with Mistra came to its ignominious end. When the true danger posed by my condition became apparent, I had no choice but to sequester myself away from civilized society. A reclusive wizard. Who'd have thought? After so long with Mistra, I have to say the pleasures of mortal love are much sweeter than I remember. Though perhaps that's simply because it's with you. If Mistra were here, I don't think she'd be best pleased with me for doing that. She was always rather fond of pixies. Still, I'm sensing no signs of any divine retribution incoming. Not quite sure what to make of that. A valid and most astutely observed point. So long as I have her mission ahead of me, I suspect she'll not want to distract me with any undue moralizing. It may not be the most savory kind of magic, but it will taste sweet enough if it brings us to the heart of the absolute in one piece. That's good to know. Although I should say, I do what I do out of a sense of utility and pragmatism, not a love of the unsavory. Whatever advantage I can gain for us, I will. And I refuse to feel guilty for it, no matter how much Mistress Chidings might echo in my skull. Now come, best keep moving. We have many more shadows to face before we reach the heart of the absolute.
One of the cruelest and most powerful creatures in existence, enslaved by mere mortals.
Look at that crown. It radiates with power unlike anything I've ever seen. To have it. To hold. Oh, if only I could. But I can't. This is it. I must do as Mistra commands. What choice do I have? More than just a goddess counseled my courage. Whole worlds hang in the balance. I love you too. Much more than myself. More even than Mistra. Very well. Whether I condemn this world or not, I choose you. I can't help but feel like I've been fumbling in the dark for too long. And I've just had a lit torch thrust into my hands. Indeed. Under other circumstances, I might have been subdued or ashamed. But after what we saw, I must admit, I'm excited. The crown! The one the Elder Brain was wearing. The one I very nearly destroyed. Netherese magic. So pure, so complete, that I didn't even recognize it at first. Most Netherese artifacts contain only the faintest amount of their former power, the ghost of an echo of a memory. That crown was different. I can't fathom how such a wonder survived. Surely everything of its ilk was destroyed along with Netheril itself, but no matter. It exists. I must learn more of it. That crown sits on a gargantuan elder brain bent on destroying us and everything we hold dear. Understanding its true nature might unlock the means of our victory. We need to learn more about what we saw. An artifact as powerful as that crown must have been documented somewhere. As luck would have it, we'll soon find ourselves near one of the finest book collections this side of Candlekeep, Sorcerous Sundries. I need to go there and learn all I can. Indeed. The journey awaits. One foot in front of the other is tried and true, I find. Their collection of rare tomes is unparalleled. I mean, Netherese texts are hardly commonplace, but I'm certain they'll have one or two stashed away. You'll have to forgive my eagerness, but if my suspicions prove to hold water, this could be the answer to all our problems.
Mr. Dakarios, heavens! Fancy seeing you here.
Tara! That can't be you, can it?
I suppose you won't be terribly shocked to find your old friend Tara amongst the pigeons. They've always been a personal favorite.
My, is that a ring? For us? Oh, you shouldn't have. Enjoy yourself now, Tara. Looks like you've got yourself set up quite nicely here. She isn't my Tresim. She's my friend. And from the looks of things, it appears she's eating pigeons. Did you hear that, Tara? Stop it?
Well, these must be important birds indeed, Mr. Decarios. Forgive me for feasting on their bodies and bones so very voraciously.
Oh, she's agreed. Just about. Tara remains as willful as ever. I'm glad you finally made her acquaintance.
Given the length of my time away, I feared she might have given up on me. Oh, I should have known better. She'd never do such a thing. That's Tara. Loyal, intelligent, brave, and apparently unwilling to follow even the most basic of instructions when her own safety is at stake. I wouldn't have her any other way. I'd actually been thinking about introducing the two of you anyway, over a sumptuous home-cooked meal, if that sounds at all to your taste. My tower in Waterdeep boasts an excellent kitchen and a wine cellar to rival Ondar himself. Not to mention a larder stocked with my homemade Hundor sauce. I can hardly wait. Now that we've got something to look forward to, I think it's time we went and saved the world. Don't you? Anything you ask, I'll answer as honestly as I can. I'm an open book, requiring only your gentle hands to turn my pages.
This city of stone and steel is an endless scream in nature's womb. I have felt no peace here. Until now, your eyes, Stira. There is pain, endless and deep, but also devotion, blazing like the sun. You're in love, are you not? You are wise to admit it. When it comes to love, vulnerability is armor, truth a sword, and trust a shield. I pray you wield all three, Stira. Bring the one you love to me. I will look into your hearts and see if your love is eternal or doomed eternally.
Thoroughly magical. Let's have at it.
Close your eyes, little ones. Be still as stone to earth. And remember to breathe. I see you. I see the bond between you. So tender, so fragile. But do you see it for yourselves? Gale, the learned wizard, the charming gentleman, the walking apocalypse. Listen, think. If the wizard were given the choice, what food would he be?
Ah, the fruit of scholars. How I long to have a troop of loyal students grace me with apples by the orchardful in exchange for wisdoms imparted.
Hear how your bond thrums with pleasure. Strong, vital, pulsing with affection. The heart is fraught, so let us turn to the joyous. When is Gale happiest?
Bravo.
That is indeed where my mind wanders to when times are hard.
The sweetest loves dance lightly on the tongue, but now we must dig deeper into the most painful reaches of the spirit. We often gaze through a veil of roses, but love accepts both the petal and the thorn. Gale, what is his greatest flaw?
Hearing it said out loud. Yes, I fear it is true. Fate seems determined to make a sacrifice of me. But perhaps fate can yet be defied. A perfect score. Seems you know me better than I know myself. Mistress likeness. It's been some time since I stood before her in a place like this.
You see an altar dedicated to Mistra.
Whatever you want with this idol, I prefer we make it quick. Not sure I'm comfortable catching Mistra's eye, even if it is made of stone. Trust me, it'll take a lot more than a few gold pieces and some fervent thoughts to convince Mistra to break her silence. On my account, at least. Commune with her as you see fit. I've no wish to stand between you and any inspiration she might deign to offer.
Mistra, mother of all magic, is the patron of wizards and often called upon by other spellcasters as well. She's said to be a jealous goddess. Even though you do not follow her, you feel her power resonating from the statue. She is the one true spell at the heart of all spells. The weave could not be in better hands.
Literature department. Can I help you? Shh. These books are sensitive. They prefer an environment of quiet reverence. Wouldn't trade it for the world. So I wouldn't. Anything I can help you with? Bold. You might have heard that our library has a collection other shops would lack the skill to curate. Between us, even Master Leverocan was reluctant to house them in his tower. The pen is mightier than the magic wand, apparently. They're locked away here for their and our customers' safety. Our finest reserve includes the Tharkiot Codex, the Annals of Karsus and Netherese Folly, Sights of the Seelie, and the Curriculum of Strategy. Do any of those interest you? It is said to be written by Lord Karsus himself, the Netherese arcanist who attempted to replace the goddess Mistra, failed, and was banished for the attempt. Great magical knowledge lies within those pages, but not many can withstand it.
That's it. That's what I need.
The Annals of Karsus would no doubt have much to say about the crown's true nature. If only you could read them.
You certainly have. Even simple knowledge of these tomes is enough to stimulate most.
The Annals of Karsus. The preamble to a civilization's downfall, committed to parchment by the very hand that wrought its destruction. The truth of the crown, I hope. All that stands between us and enlightenment is the turn of a page. This isn't what I expected. This is much more. The crown of Carsus. And this is no mere journal. It contains Carsus's original plans for the crown's construction. His designs for godhood. Not exactly. It was what he did with it that sealed his fate, and, for a time, that of magic itself. The crown was merely the means. The book states that the crown and netherstones were originally one construct, seemingly sundered at the moment of Carsus's downfall. If we can collect the crown's setting and the 3 netherstones, and with the correct invocation of certain spells and gestures detailed in these notes, I think I could reforge it. Do not mistake the crown itself for the actions of its wearer, or rather, those controlling its wearer at present. If we could restore its former glory, it would no longer be a mere leash and collar used to subjugate friend or foe. It would be something greater. Something divine. Just think of it. The power of the gods in mortal hands at last would be free of doctrine and dogma, confined only by the limits of our imaginations. We must discuss this further, but quietly, privately. Find me later, and I will show you something truly divine. I will show you what a crown like this could mean for both of us. I can hardly wait. Elminster?
Oh, hello, my boy. No, don't mind me. I'm just enjoying a lungful of Bull-Durian air. There's a distinctive aroma, though perhaps not one worthy of bottling. Tell me, what curiosities have you and your companions discovered within the walls of this esteemed emporium? I trusted he would be sensible enough to exercise caution in this matter and to seek the truth. By now, you are aware of the evil we are up against. Carsus's pestilent crown, the very tool with which its eponymous creator unmade an empire and magic itself. Perhaps now you understand what is at stake here, my boy. Though what Mr. asked of you was extreme, it was not without merit, nor demanded lightly.
What are you saying? Or rather, what are you not saying?
Mr. knows you defied her, Gale. Well, of course she knows. She's Mistra. She bids you come to her holy shrine in the Stormshore Tabernacle. There, she will grant you an audience at last. I see remaining optimistic is my duty. Especially when I'm not the one being asked to do the seemingly impossible. Trust in yourself. Trust in the weave, if you are willing. Trust in Mistra. There is a conclusion yet to be written in this sorry tale, Gale of Waterdeep. And yours is the quill that will write it.
So all it took to get Mistra's attention was to learn how to reforge an artifact that once destroyed her. It's obvious when you stop to think about it. Well, I doubt it's an apology for asking me to die on her behalf. Whatever it is, if it's important enough to send Elminster, we can be damn sure she's serious.
This is a conversation that's long overdue on both sides. I owe it to her to hear her out. Come what may afterwards. After you. I don't think I deserve you at times. I told you of my ambitions, the likes of which many would balk at. And yet you remain at my side. Gladdens me to hear you say that. Perhaps I can show you my gratitude another way, by demonstrating exactly what ascension will mean to me. To us. Words alone are not enough. Permit me to show you. Please, close your eyes a moment. Astra navigamus. Few mortals ever glimpse what you're about to see. But don't be alarmed. I'm here with you. Now, open your eyes. The outer planes. This is where gods dwell. They observe us from afar, where they make playthings of us. They will keep all of this from us. The power, the possibilities. They only want us to serve them, to pray to them, and ultimately to die for them. But what if we didn't need them? What if we wielded their power instead and helped ourselves in all the ways they refuse to? I could make that happen. I could make this illusion a reality, with you by my side. Then have me, but have the best possible version of me. The tadpoles, the orb, these threats to our existence. The gods could aid us if they wished, but instead they cower behind Io. So let us act ourselves. With the power of the crown, any foe would be rendered impotent. Any obstacle would be dwarfed by our might. I used to believe Mistress Forgiveness was worth dying for. But I was wrong. You showed me just how much I have to live for. With you, I forget, my goddess. I love you. Tell me you feel the same way. Tell me you want what I want. Please. It won't. I swear to you. It's merely a tool, a means to an end. You told me once to choose you, the one who loved me. That's what this is all about. Do you doubt me? What more is there to be said? But I could be so much more to you. I hope you're right. I truly do. Godly power, perhaps I can live without, but you? You're everything. You put the stars to shame. Let's sit here another while. I want to drink you in. I've often asked myself the same question, but never really found a satisfactory answer. He clearly sees something in me that I can't. The wisdom and intelligence required to overcome almost insurmountable odds, perhaps? Or the stupidity required to attempt it. I take it as a compliment either way. You don't get to be 13 centuries old without becoming a sound judge of character. And cheese, apparently. I regret many things in my life. Choosing to be here, intact and unexploded, is not one of them. For now, to have a few more days in your company, no. I wouldn't change a thing.
There she stands, just as Elminster promised. Mystra, goddess of the weave, mother of all magic.
The old man wasn't lying. She's opened the summoning channel. Can't you feel it?
Gale's right. The very air around the statue crackles with magic, as though the weave itself were coursing beneath her stony skin.
A stream of pure, undiluted weave. I only have to reach out, and it will carry me to Mystra, wherever she may be.
Go on then, Gale. We'll be here waiting for you when you're finished.
Time was, I'd have given my right arm for a chance to speak with Mystra again. The left one, too. Maybe a knee. Not the message one hopes to receive from a past lover. But her first love was always the weave. At best, I was a close second. When I pictured this moment, I thought I'd feel more in control. Yet, here I am, with palms sweatier than a bugbear's armpit. I always wonder what being nervous would feel like. I hate it. During my time locked away in Waterdeep, I prepared a quite comprehensive speech for her on the subject of our former relationship and the manner in which it ended. Alas, recent events have rendered the majority of it moot, so I'm going to have to improvise. Unless you have any words of wisdom to impart before I go. You'd make a fine three-dragon anti-player, you know? I think it's best I keep a cool head going into this. Approach it like a particularly high-risk round of three-dragon ante. I'll let Mystra show her flight, and then I can see how strong a chance we stand of winning the gambit. I'll only be gone for a matter of moments. The Outer Planes experience time quite differently to our own. Wait for me. Please.
Gale of Waterdeep. You look well.
As do you. But I assume we're not here solely to exchange compliments. So why am I here?
You discovered what lies at the heart of the Absolute, the crown of Karsus. And you disobeyed my instruction. Why?
Because you had no right to ask that of me. You cast me out. Remember?
You were my lover, my chosen. Yet still you know so little of me. The past cannot be undone with self-pity, nor can a future be forged. Only with the truth will you see the way ahead. The fragment of magic you tried to return to me was not of my creation. It was the Karsite weave. It is a corrupted, half-born magic, wrought in the brief moment Karsus ascended to godhood. It hungers for power, just as he did, and it can never be sated. You unleashed something that would consume all magic in existence, and yet you thought only of preserving yourself.
So that's what you're scared of. With the crown of Karsus reforged, I could take control of the Karsite weave.
You can no more control the Karsite weave than a weather vane could control a storm. That it entered your body and consumed no more than your powers was a miracle. But we will not be granted another. The only reason the orb sleeps is because I have allowed it to feed on the true weave. A temporary measure, but one that will not be enough to save us. With each day that passes, the Elder Brain threatens to become a new kind of god. Its worshippers, a scourge of soulless illithids. If you will not use the orb to end this abomination, then you must find a way to separate crown and host. When you've done this, you must surrender the crown of Karsus to me.
A great ask indeed. You've given me much to think on, as you always did.
So be it. Follow the needle of your own wisdom. We shall see how truly it leads you.
My love, I hope you enjoyed our voyage through the cosmos. I was hoping you might have a moment to talk about it. Neither have I. The closest thing to a deserving canvas on which to place your beauty. But I've also not forgotten why I took you there. I hope you don't think less of me. Great ambition should not come at the expense of what you already hold dear. I see that now. What divine calculus plucked each of us from the ether and thrust us together? I don't deserve you, truly. But I will do my utmost to earn the right. Was there anything else you wish to discuss? Strangely, no. Once, a mere glimpse of her face would have been enough to turn my insides over. But not this time. In her likeness, I used to read 1,000 stories. She was beauty, wisdom, elegance, power. She contained universes. But now, it's hard to see any redeeming qualities in a lover who condemned you to death. I'd much rather gaze into your eyes than hers. Yours are capable of tenderness and feeling. No god could ever compare. There's nothing that would give me greater pleasure. At a loss, really. People have always commented on my confidence, sometimes my overconfidence. And in one particularly cutthroat assessment at university, my abject and incorrigible self-delusion. To put my faith in someone else and trust that we will find a better way together. It's a rather new experience for me. One I'm enjoying for the most part. But a new one, nonetheless. Back on mortal soil once more. I can't believe I saw her. After all this time. Relieved. Drained. Proud
proud of myself for summoning the courage to go to her in the first place, and, if I'm being totally honest, a bit lightheaded. As if it wasn't enough to have seen her again. She didn't exactly summon me there for small talk. The Karsite weave. Within me this whole time. I knew the orb was no ordinary ball of magic before it to be Karsus's malignant creation. Gods! How did I not see that? But I should have known. What right had I to go about declaring myself an archmage when I was as foolish as a common apprentice in setting such an entity loose? At least now I'm armed with the truth. And Mistra's expectations. Sounds like the door to redemption is open at last. All I have to do is walk through it, carrying the crown of Karsus. Thank you. There aren't many I'd trust to stand beside me on such a journey. Fewer still who would do so because they believed I deserved such a chance. If I could promise you one thing in return for your faith in me, it's this. I will use everything in my power to ensure we defeat this evil. I will not let you down. Now, I believe we've a date with an elder brain to get to. Shall we? The scent of Netheril hangs heavy in this place. The brain is close, as is the crown. I'm glad we faced such a monster together. I hope that wasn't our last kiss. I'd take 1,000 more if I could. When? I'm glad you have such confidence in our endeavor. I confess, my own's not constructed from such immutable materials. I don't dare to imagine making such a decision when there's the small matter of the enormous brain beneath the crown still to overcome. Ask me again when the Illithid scourge has been wiped from this city, and I'll have an answer for you. Until then, it's best not to count on anything. You're okay. Thank the heavens and hells and everything in between. I thought the brain would take you from me. Separating the crown from that monstrosity will be harder than we imagined. It might be time to reconsider our strategy. Strolling these streets together would have been quite magical in other circumstances. This is all a tad apocalyptic for my liking. I'm cautiously optimistic. Though, with the time left to us and the amount still to be done, it's best we don't take anything for granted. Who knows what shape these final moments of ours might assume? Not I. Not Mistra. Not even you. But whatever my fate might be, I'll be glad to greet it in such fine company. I'd need a ream of parchment longer than an elder brain's stem to capture the tumult I feel at that particular prospect. But I'm ready, if that's the word you need to hear. If you call on me, I will not let you down.
Thought occurs to you as you gaze at the monstrosity above. Gale's orb remains an option, one that could put an end to the absolute once and for all.
You're plotting something, aren't you? Come on then, out with it. I'd rather know before we take on that cerebral monstrosity. Viable a plan as any while staring into the maw of perdition. Shall we?
But it seems that Gale's mind is elsewhere.
The crown. It's somewhere in the Giontha. If I salvage the stones, I can reforge it. the power of Karsus would be in my hands. But what then? What would I do with it once I have it? Sage and timely counsel, as always. And I intend to heed it. A wise man learns from his mistakes and strives not to repeat them. I shall bring the crown to Mystra. She'll cure me of my affliction. And I'll finally be free. And a more deserving one this time around. If this adventure has taught me anything, is that there are things in this world far more valuable than power. You, for example. You were always wiser than me when it mattered most. Besides, growing quite fond of this merry band of ours, but I'd quite like to see what happens to it. I'm sure Mystra will summon me soon enough, but until then, I propose we celebrate our victory the mortal way, with a drink in our hands and reckless abandon in our hearts. It's curious. After all the wonders and monstrosities we've witnessed, waking beside you seems more unreal than any of it. I've forgotten what it felt like to greet a sunrise without fear of it being my last. Soon, I'll deliver the crown to Mystra and be rid of the awe at long last. I'll be free. Oh, him! Huh. I've been thinking a lot about that. Gale of Waterdeep. Sounds a bit pompous, don't you think? I thought I might take this opportunity to reinvent myself. Or uninvent myself, to be more accurate. You're now in the company of plain old Gale Decarius, a most brilliant wizard of intentionally limited renown. At your service. Now, I believe this is the moment where I should get to my point, so to speak. I love you. More than I've ever loved anyone, mortal or immortal. And you've proven your love for me in more ways than even the greatest mathematicians would dare to count. That being said, I wondered if you might consider accompanying me back to Waterdeep as a new member of the Decarius clan. I suppose I am. Tara would be delighted, not to mention my mother. But I'd be just as happy without such ceremony. So long as we're together. You will? Oh, thank goodness for that. We'll need to make the arrangements, of course. The Decarius clan is scattered far and wide, and you'll have invites of your own to send out, I'm sure. But that's all to come. The day is young, and there are thousands more days ahead of us.
You and Gale have made a home for yourselves in Waterdeep. Sometimes it isn't clear what he loves more, his research or you. But when he looks into your eyes or up at the stars while he sits by your side, you know the answer. One such night, your reveries are interrupted by an embarrassed apprentice delivering an urgent message written in a frail hand. An invitation to a gathering of former allies, those who stood with you against the Netherbrain 6 months ago. Gale the adventurer has quickly become Gale the academic, but he's all too happy to leave his tower for this meeting.
You're quite certain I look acceptable? I can't remember when I last wore something other than my teaching robes. Feels a little odd to find myself in something so unsinged. Not in front of Tara, please.
Oh, don't mind me. I'm only your oldest friend and your mother's most voluble confidant. Do whatever you please. I don't mind.
I won't keep you to myself for too long. But while I have you, I want to say thank you for encouraging me to attend this evening. Teaching at Blackstaff Academy has proven such an unexpected pleasure. Sometimes I find it hard to tear myself away. Just one of the myriad unexpected ways life has delighted me in recent months. Even my own city feels new to me, now that I share it with you. That you do. I've not had so much fun in Waterdeep since my own days as a Blackstaff apprentice. You've certainly made quite the impression on my friends down at the Yawning Portal. The last I heard, they were thinking of naming a drink after you. I'm just glad you're happy there. When we met, our lives were rather different, and being here this evening, well, reminds me how much has changed. When Mystra quelled the orb at last, she did more than rid me of its threat. She created room for hope, where once I only felt despair. Standing here, now, I no longer see the people we were. Frightened, desperate, alone. We changed. We survived. And we did it together. I've missed them. I've missed this. No. I prefer the warmth of my library's hearth these days. But the feeling of adventure, I confess, that I long for.
Now, Mr. Dekarios, we've spoken about this. You really must find safer pastimes for your own good and mine too.
I have been dabbling with the idea of capturing our adventures with humble ink and parchment. If tales enough to fill a few good volumes. And when the truth runs out, who knows? My quill might take us on further adventures yet. Now, much as I could spend an eternity in your company, we see plenty of each other already. Tempting as it is to keep you all to myself, we'd be terrible company if we didn't mingle for at least part of the evening. I love you. Now go on. before I change my mind.
Oh, hello, darling. I wasn't sure you'd make it. Yes, you are a very social sort, aren't you? Gale's never been kept so busy in all his days. No wonder his studies are suffering. But such is the way of love, isn't it? I suppose you do. All I ever wanted was for Gale to settle down. But now that he has, I miss him. Yes, I am. And you're a dear for putting up with this cranky old Tressym. I may show my claws now and then, but I hope I never scratch you too deeply. Gale, on the other hand, the way he leaves his potions in absolute disarray. I know for certain he wasn't raised in a barn, but you'd never know it. We must begin our campaign to set him on the straight and narrow when we return home. Now, enjoy your party. You've quite earned it, if the balladeers are to be believed.